Oh, it's already running.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Joel North, and I'm going to be giving you guys a short brief on HFACS, otherwise known as Human Factors Analysis and Classification System. HFACS, what is it? It's an accident investigation tool and a process evaluation tool, which allows you to identify the causal factors and risks within your process and, unfortunately, if an accident actually occurs. Where did it come from? Well, it was developed by Doctors Wigman and Chappell in the 1990s in response to high accident rates in the Navy. They were actually both Navy colonels, both aviators, and they were tasked to address the situation of those high accident rates in Navy pilots. And as a result of that, they developed the HFACS system. Since their time in the Navy, they've continued to propagate this system, to advertise it, and it's been adopted by both DoD and is used on this in the civilian world as well. Actually, our AR 385-10 Army regulation is being rewritten to include the precepts of the HFACS classification system. The Air Force actually already is fully integrated with HFACS. What does it do for me? It identifies causal factors of an accident. So if something does occur, you're able to look at it, say, and it provides a method for actually evaluating what happened, why it happened, what we can do in order to keep it from happening again. How we prefer to use it is beforehand and the preventative process to look at our process, look at what we're doing, and develop mitigation methods accordingly. And the hope is that full implementation will reduce accident rates. So here you have the HFACS overview. This is HFACS itself, and essentially it's broken down into 4 different levels that, or preconditions of an accident that you evaluate. You have the unsafe act itself, you have the preconditions for the unsafe act, supervisory factors, and organizational influences. So essentially what you do is you go through each one of these levels and ask yourself what went wrong at each of these levels. Theoretically speaking, you are going to find a hole or an error at each one of these levels for an accident to actually occur. If one of these blocks or does not have an error, theoretically you will not have an accident. So when you're looking at an accident investigation, a lot of times what you want to start is right there in the middle. You want to start with the preconditions for the unsafe acts. You look at the situational factors, the mental status of the individual, were they fit for duty, their psychological state, and then you work both higher and lower to the trees. So you'll move from there into supervisory factors. Did the supervisor fail to correct a known problem? Was there inadequate supervision? And then you look at from a very wide scope as well as the organization. Does my organization support a positive safety environment? Here at the bottom, you have the unsafe act itself, which is divided into errors and violations. Errors are things that you actually do wrong. A violation, an error is something that you actually make a mistake on. A violation is when you violate a rule. Now it's important to note that there's a difference in violations between what's called a routine violation and an exceptional violation. A routine violation is something that's actually culturally accepted within the organization for you to actually do wrong, even though it's against their policy. For instance, we routinely violate walking across where there's no crosswalk. We know that that's not the right thing to do, but we do it anyway, right there with you. An exceptional violation goes against policy, goes against culture. So takeaways, HFACS allows you to identify errors or violations. Accidents generally have failures at each level. And HFACS gives you the ability to holistically look at the accident and to develop to identify why it happened and to correct it. So, any questions?